The RB22 wasn't designed to be easy to drive, it wasn't designed to be forgiving, and it definitely wasn't designed to make two drivers comfortable. From the very first laps, one truth became impossible to ignore. This car only truly comes alive when pushed to a place most drivers simply won't go. And that raises an uncomfortable question Formula One hasn't fully confronted yet. Was the RB22 built around one assumption, that Max Verstappen would always be the one driving it? Right now, Formula One is standing at the edge of another regulation reset, another supposed equalizer, another promise that dominance should be harder. And yet, Red Bull arrives with a car that looks less like a compromise and more like a declaration. The curiosity gap isn't whether the RB22 is fast. It's why it behaves the way it does, and who that behavior truly serves. Because if this car only works when driven at the limit of control, then the real advantage isn't the aero, or the cooling, or the power unit. It's the driver. And most people miss that detail. Here's the differentiator most fans gloss over. In every major regulation reset of the modern era, teams initially design cars around theoretical averages, balanced inputs, predictable responses, safety margins. Red Bull didn't do that here. The RB22's operating window is narrow, sharp, and aggressive by design. And historically, that kind of car doesn't just reward talent, it rewards commitment. That's not an accident, that's a philosophy. Within the first 90 seconds of Barcelona testing, the strongest signal wasn't the lap time, it was how little drama surrounded it. Max Verstappen stepped into the RB22, completed a short, controlled run, and immediately set the reference without visible adaptation. No exaggerated corrections, no searching for balance, no learning phase. That's insane. In a brand new regulation cycle, most teams are still trying to figure out what the car wants. Red Bull already knew, and so did Max. Smart fans subscribe, because this is where the story gets uncomfortable. Red Bull's own technical behavior tells you everything. Look at how they structured testing. Day 1 went to Isaac Hadjar, data gathering, systems checks, broad validation. Day 2, Verstappen, limited laps, specific conditions, precise objectives. That's not mileage chasing, that's confirmation. Red Bull didn't need Max to explore the extremes. They needed him to validate that the car lived exactly where simulations said it would. And when he did, the lap time simply fell out of the process. Read that again. The RB22 didn't look quick because Max forced it to be. It looked quick because it was already aligned with his driving language. Here's what nobody is talking about. Since 2021, Red Bull's cars have progressively moved away from neutral balance and toward high rotation, sharp front behavior that punishes hesitation. These cars demand early commitment on entry, late braking confidence, and comfort with rear instability under load. That driving style isn't common. In fact, most elite drivers actively avoid it because it leaves no margin. But Max Verstappen doesn't just tolerate that behavior, he thrives in it. Be honest, who's actually panicking right now? Because this is where the contradiction emerges. Formula One loves to talk about team cars, about fairness, about equal machinery. But history shows that dominant teams almost always drift toward their fastest reference point. Schumacher's Ferraris did it. Vettel's Red Bulls did it. Hamilton's Mercedes did it. And now, the RB22 shows the same fingerprints. The car rotates aggressively. It rewards confidence over caution. It punishes drivers who need feedback before commitment. That's not universal design, that's specialization. And the politics behind that choice matter. Midway through Act 2, this becomes clear when you compare Red Bull's posture to Ferrari's. Ferrari spent Barcelona asking questions. Long runs, mileage accumulation, system validation. Charles Leclerc openly admitted performance wasn't the priority. Red Bull, by contrast, was checking answers. That difference is massive. One team is still discovering its baseline, the other is already refining its advantage. Elite minds subscribe. Now here's the debate nobody can avoid. If you were team boss, what would you do today? Do you build a car that suits the average elite driver? Or do you build a car that fully unlocks the best driver on the grid, even if it leaves others struggling? Because Red Bull has clearly chosen the latter. And the RB22 is proof. This isn't just about speed. It's about control. The RB22's narrow operating window means that when it works, it dominates. But when it doesn't, it looks unmanageable. That's the risk. And Red Bull accepted it anyway. Why? Because Max Verstappen doesn't need a wide window. He creates one. Was that genius or desperation? Because there's a consequence hiding in plain sight. Cars like this amplify driver gaps. They don't hide them. And that's exactly what we've seen. When Verstappen extracts performance effortlessly, others are left explaining why the same car feels unpredictable, nervous, or inconsistent. That narrative doesn't start in the cockpit. It starts on the drawing board. And now we reach the payoff. The RB22 wasn't built for Max Verstappen in a literal sense. No engineer sits down and says, let's design a Max car. But it was built around an assumption that Red Bull's success depends on extracting the absolute maximum from a driver who operates comfortably where others hesitate. That assumption shapes everything. Cooling compromises, aero sensitivity, ride characteristics, energy deployment behavior. It all aligns around a single truth: if Max can handle it, it's fast enough. Let that sink in. This matters now because Formula One is entering an era where adaptability will decide championships. New power units, new energy management demands, narrower margins. And in that environment, the most valuable asset isn't raw pace, it's clarity. The RB22 looks clear in behavior, clear in intent, clear in hierarchy. Is this the start of dominance or collapse? Because here's the final twist. A car built around one assumption can dominate as long as that assumption holds. As long as Max Verstappen remains healthy, motivated, and aligned with the team. But if anything disrupts that alignment, regulation quirks, reliability stress, internal pressure, the same sharpness that creates dominance can become fragility. That's the risk Red Bull is carrying. And so far, they're winning the gamble. If you're still here, you're already ahead of the narrative. This isn't about favoritism, it's about optimization. And Formula One has always rewarded teams willing to optimize around greatness instead of averaging it out. Stay sharp, subscribe. Because the next piece of this puzzle dives into what happens when regulation changes collide with a car built for one driving language, and whether the rest of the grid has already missed its window to respond. It's on your screen now.